Hey guys, and welcome back to Jay's and JJ's Kitchen. So today we're gonna do my little old school recipe of our. I'm gonna call it rib tips. I'll kind of get into that a little more, but our barbecue rib tips. That being said, we're gonna just come back and show you our ingredients and get started. Okay then. So for our ingredients for our rib tips, I probably need to kind of expand on that. I look for rib tips, love rib tips, right? However, I'm finding just depending on where in the U.S. you're located, you may or may not find rib tips. So I went out looking for rib tips, and what I found in most of the stores where I'm in Oklahoma is they've got what they call rib pieces, and also this other rib something this other store refers to it as. So that's what I had to go, but my intent was to do rib tips. So we're gonna progress with what we had. We're gonna move along and motivate with whatever we could find in the store. Okay. So you see our rib tips. I'll call them rib tips. Here, right? We've got crushed red pepper. We've got tomato sauce. We've got seasoning salt, black pepper, sugar, vinegar, a lemon, and an onion, right? And that's basically it for our seasonings on this rib tip. However, you see I have kosher salt sitting out here. So to clarify, to make sure I get this correct, I'll tell you what I did, right? So you see me moving this stuff off to the side. Because what I did is I made a brine, and I brined my rib tips overnight, almost a day actually. And that's why you see the kosher salt here. Because for your brine, it's basically a brine, if you know that, it's your kosher salt and water, right? And that seasons your meat, throughout, basically. It goes down to the bone if you let it sit long enough. And so that's why I have this out here. That being said, this is brined already. The only thing I need to do is hit it with black pepper. Okay? So now the other method is basically you get your meat, you wash it, you come back and you season it with my seasoning salt and black pepper, right? And then everything else from there is the same. So that is the only difference. I hope I didn't confuse anybody. If you have any questions, by all means, hit me up and I'll kind of try to explain that and clarify it for you. But if you're not brining it, just season it with seasoning salt or your choice of salt and black pepper, and put it into the pot. That we're going to get to that point. You'll see what's in my pot. I'll put it like that, okay? And if not, like I say, this is brined in my kosher salt, so I don't need the seasoning salt, but I will put black pepper on the meat before putting it in the pot. That being said, let's get our pot started and we'll be right back. So, okay guys, so now we are ready to get our pot ready, preparable, right? Don't know if any of you guys ever seen it done like this before, but just, hey, stick with me and trust me on this process, okay? So what you're gonna see me do is dump tomato sauce into our pot. I've got like 3 cans here. We got our tomato sauce in there, right? We got our lemons. I half them and I quarter them. Well, kind of half them basically to make it easy to fish out later on in the process. Because once this cook, I will want to pull those lemons out and let the meat sit in the sauce, or I'll call it the sauce that we parboil it in, right? I want it to sit in there like overnight, 12 hours overnight, before I take the meat out and put it on the grill. So, so basically at the end of the cooking process, I'll parboil it for about 30 minutes, maybe 30 to 40 minutes. And I'll come back and check it and make it, because you don't want it fully cooked to where it's falling off the bones. You want it to stay together. And then basically kind of cook. It's basically it's fully cooked, but not quite there yet. If that makes sense. But we're gonna parboil it for, like I said, 30 to 40 minutes. Then we'll come back, fish the lemons out, because we're gonna let that set overnight, and we don't want the lemon hulls to basically cause our pot here to become bitter. Because if you let the lemons stay in there, because of the lemon pills or hulls or whatever you want to call it, it will make basically that whole thing turn bitter, just like a strong lemon taste. You don't want that. So we've got our lemons in there. Throw our onion. We chop up our onions. Put those in, right? So we've got our tomato sauce, our lemon, onion, some vinegar. That should be good. Our crushed red pepper. To give it a little spice there. And a bit of sugar. Should be a good starting point for what we're doing here today. Now, get this cooking. Our last thing that we need to do, we're going to take our cans, because the tomato sauce, you guys are familiar with that, it's thick, right? You don't want to try to parboil your meat in that, because it's going to stick to the bottom. So what we're going to do is thin this out with water. So we're going to get basically 3 cans of water here. And basically in that process, I get the remaining tomato sauce out of the can. So it is not wasted, right? Now, give a check on this to see how thick it is, if I need to add any more to get it to the consistency that I'm looking for. Yeah, just a little more. I did say 3 cans, and it is going to be just about 3 cans of water. Actually, I'm stopping at 2.5 cans. All right. So we've got our 3 cans of tomato sauce in there. So I'm gonna add the vinegar, crushed red pepper, some sugar, the water, the lemons, the onions. Now we can add our meat to it. And we're just gonna add our meat and basically let this parboil for maybe 30 minutes. And once it finishes that, we're gonna remove the lemons out and let that sit overnight. Then tomorrow we'll come back and fire up our charcoal grill. By the way, we're doing barbecue. I know gas grills are very kind of quick and easy. They're good. I love them. However, when I'm doing this version of my ribs, it's something. Maybe I'm just old school. I don't know, but just my personal opinion. It is something about using charcoal when you're doing barbecue, as far as chicken and ribs and stuff like that. It affects the flavor and it gives it a better flavor from the charcoal. Okay. So that being said, we're gonna let this cook, parboil, like I said, and we'll come back and show you where we are and let that set overnight and come back tomorrow and we'll get this on the grill. Okay guys, so we got our pot ready, right? Like I said, just to recap, we got our tomato sauce. We thin that out with some water. We've got sugar, crushed red pepper, vinegar, our lemon and onion, right? And so we're gonna get this in the pot and we're gonna let this parboil for about 30 to 40 minutes. We don't want it falling off the bone, but we do want it kind of tender. And basically we put it on the grill and we'll dry it out. But we're gonna let that, once it parboils to the consistency that we want, the tenderness that we want, I should say, we're gonna let that set overnight. So this sauce flavoring will go down to the bone of the meat, it will go throughout the meat. So we're gonna get our meat in our pot and we will come back and show you where we get to, and when we pull our lemons out, because we can't let that set overnight because that will make the whole thing bitter from the lemon hulls. So we're gonna get our meat in there and let this, like I said, let this parboil for about 30, 40 minutes or so, and we'll come back and check in. Okay? Okay, guys. So our meat probably have been boiling, I would say, a good 40 minutes. Wasn't really to a rolling boil when I put it in, so I let it start boiling before I started my timer. It's been about 40 minutes, and you can tell the meat is starting to pull apart from the bones, kind of cooking back a little bit. And that's pretty much where you want it. Let it stop. You want to stop it then, and basically turn it off. And like I said, it's going to sit in there, so it's probably going to continue to slow cook for a little while. I'm going to leave the top off so it will cool down a little bit quicker, because I don't want it to kind of sit there, under a little pressure and get continue to cook too much. And just like I said before, we have our fishing edition here to where we're looking for our lemons. That's why you want to remember exactly how many pieces you have in, so you can pull that out, because like I said, if you let that set, you pretty much kind of destroyed that whole pot, because it is going to be bitter just because of the lemon pills, right? So there's the one that I had in half, but basically I had 2 halves, but this one I cut a little bit too much and it fell apart. So there's our 1 lemon. We've got that out, and here's our meat. It's basically it's cooked well. But it's not, falling off the bones. So I want it to cool down now. So basically, it will kind of be together when we go and put that on the grill. And it's going to set this in this sauce that we cooked it in overnight. That way, it's going to absorb a lot of that flavor, right? And so basically, you're going to have that tomato base, I would say, flavoring through, down to the bone, and that's what we're looking for. From there, when you put it on the grill, you just kind of let it dry out a little, uh, and you put your sauce on there and let that caramelize. I use your preferred sauce. My preferred sauce is my sauce that I don't make. So once I pull this out, I'll make my sauce and get it on the grill. We get to that point, we'll come back and show you what we do. Guys. So okay, guys. Before I put the meat on the grill, just wanted to give you guys a shot to see what your meat will look like after cooking it in that my sauce mixture that I cook my chicken and my ribs in, rib pieces or whatever you want to call them in. So this is what you're looking for. It's got that reddish tint to it. So that sauce is basically really cooked into the meat, and it's all, like I said, it's adding that additional flavor to what I did as far as brining and the process. I said, well, if you don't brine and you just season uh, the meat, that's fine too, because you're gonna get extra added flavor from that sauce mixture that we cooked it in, right? So that's our meat after we parboiled it. Now we're gonna get it on the grill and get our kind of dry it out a little bit, not much, just a little bit, and get our sauce on it and get that caramelized, and we'll be done. So when we get finished with that, we'll come back and show you what our finished product look like. All right, guys. So here, this is our rib pieces. I guess I should call it rib tips, rib pieces. Um, After putting it on the grill and adding our sauce to it, um, this is our end product. So it's not very hard to do, and this is what you'll end up with. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Uh, Please do comment. See you guys next time.